Babe of the day. Babe of the day. Catherine O'Hara. Oh my goodness, Catherine O'Hara. She is a rare gem. There have been a lot of funny women over the years, but there are very few who are drop-dead gorgeous and can make me laugh harder than most male comedians. All this, plus she is legitimately talented. Catherine can play different characters and do dead-on impersonations. When Catherine takes on a unique character, she gives the character its own persona. She isn't just putting on different wigs and saying catchphrases. Catherine O'Hara is, of course, one of the two major female cast members of the sketch comedy series SCTV. The other is Andrea Martin, who I am also enamored with and who will receive her own video. SCTV was Catherine's claim to fame. Unlike a lot of actresses I talk about in Babe of the Day, Catherine's success came pretty quickly. Born and raised in Toronto, she was a cast member of the Second City comedy troupe in her hometown. She started with Second City in 1974. Catherine was an understudy of Gilda Radner, another funny woman I really like, until Gilda left to do Saturday Night Live in 1975. By the next year, in 1976, SCTV started and Catherine got instant recognition. She was only 22 at the time. Previous to this, she had been doing bit roles in Canadian TV shows and movies, along with cartoon voiceover work. She was a regular on the children's show Coming Up Rosie for the 1976 to 77 season. At such a young age, Catherine was already a seasoned professional. SCTV was made in Canada, and it took some time for it to build up a national following. But once it started coming to American stations and syndication, an international following bubbled up, making stars of all the cast. There was an interesting dynamic between Catherine O'Hara and Andrea Martin. Between them, they could play just about every type of female character you could think of. Catherine wouldn't have been able to play Andrea's characters, and vice versa, so they complemented each other. Catherine had a knack for being able to contort her face, much in the way that Jim Carrey does, but she was able to keep it in a certain position for a long time. That is a true talent, and it allowed her to do things that makeup and prosthetics couldn't do. A lot of the characters she played were like truly different people. Lola Heatherton, a semi-spoof of the singer-actress Joey Heatherton, was one of her biggest characters. Lola, for all her glamour, was extremely fragile and the poster girl of the crashing star. But Catherine could make a character like this entirely funny. The only drama surrounding Lola is in Lola's own head. Dusty Town was another character I really liked. The character was a thinly veiled impersonation of the comedian Rusty Warren. But you don't even have to know who Rusty Warren is to like this character. Dusty is a raunchy, middle-aged stand-up comedian and singer who is always hosting some TV special with her bizarre nightclub act. Basically, Dusty is a dirty old woman, and not fragile like Lola Heatherton. The impressions she did on the show were all great. She did Brooke Shields, Meryl Streep, Joan Crawford, Angie Dickinson, Tammy Faye Baker, Barbara Billingsley, and so many more. She was great with all of them, but I have to make mention of one in particular that she really should have won an award for: Lucille Ball. Catherine looked and acted exactly like Lucille Ball did at that time. So much so that it's almost eerie, like a clone. She left the show for the 1980 to 81 season. John Candy did the same. Their absence was felt. It was still a good show, but when two of the funniest cast members leave any show, it's always going to take a hit. Both O'Hara and Candy came back to the show for the 1981 to 82 season when it was picked up by the American NBC network. This was a big deal. It was no longer just a Canadian show or an American syndication. It was actually an NBC show. Even though SCTV was familiar to a lot of people in the late 1970s, it was now known to just about any American who owned a television set. Every cast member involved became familiar to Americans, and all of them would have good, long-lasting careers. Catherine won an Emmy for her writing on the show in 1982, but she left it again before the 1982-83 season. She did, however, come back for guest appearances through the rest of the show's run through 1984. After this, Catherine made appearances in a lot of TV shows and movies. Some of her major successes include Beetlejuice from 1988 and the first two Home Alone movies from 1990 and 92. Throughout the 1990s decade, Catherine worked steadily, but seemed to drop off the radar to most audiences because she was either doing supporting roles or very small bit roles along with voice acting. What was peculiar about this post-SCTV time period is that she was doing rather regular roles that anyone could do, and she wasn't fully utilizing the talent that she had displayed so prominently on SCTV. She could still be funny, but she wasn't gut-busting funny. Beginning in 1996 and through 2006, Catherine was in 4 different mockumentary films by Christopher Guest. These movies are weird, but still kind of funny, and for the first time in a long time, Catherine O'Hara was starting to play the wacky kinds of characters she was noted for. She did a movie in 2010 that I really like called Killers. It was an action comedy starring Ashton Kutcher. Catherine plays the wife of Tom Selleck and mother of Katherine Heigl, who was married to Ashton. For most of the movie, Catherine plays a goofy lush who really doesn't know what's up. By the end of the movie, it's revealed that Tom Selleck was a master spy and that she knew it all along, so she wasn't as dumb as she seemed. I thought it was a really clever twist when I first saw it. Her next, truly big credit was in the TV comedy series Schitt's Creek from 2015 to 2020. She played Moira Rose, the wife of Johnny Rose, played by Eugene Levy. These two always worked well together, going way back to the SCTV days, so it was good to see them together in a regular series. Moira Rose is probably the most peculiar character Catherine has ever played, even though she's a revised version of the earlier Lola Heatherton character. Moira is like Lola, but with a lot more mental baggage. She is a spoiled housewife, former actress, and now ex-billionaire who was forced to come down to earth quite a bit. The Rose family is forced to live in Schitt's Creek, the small town they bought years earlier as a joke. As you can imagine, this change in lifestyle was hard for everyone in the Rose family, but harder for Moira than anyone else. She still thought of herself as a star, was unfamiliar with work, and couldn't cope with it. Moira persisted in using a phony accent that only she could possibly identify. She also wore the most bizarre clothes for any occasion. Her husband, Johnny, was just a regular guy and the most normal one in the bunch. How he had to deal with Moira and everything else that went on was comedy gold. Throughout the series, Moira becomes a better person, even though she still remains kind of weird. The show was a big hit in Canada on the CBC network and a major hit on Netflix. Since Schitt's Creek, Catherine has continued to act and give solid performances. Thank goodness she isn't as weird as the characters she plays. She's been married since 1992 and has 2 sons. Beauty is one thing, but laughter trumps beauty, and any woman who can make you laugh, like Catherine O'Hara, deserves to be called Babe of the Day, Babe of the Day,